Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Welcome to this brand new show on Eman Channel, Talk to Me. I'm your host, Ali Dawah. This show is going to be a bit different. We're going to have some controversial topics that we're going to discuss, and the audience are going to have their say. We've got a panel of guests. I'm going to start on my left. Before I start, though, I want to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, the most gracious. All praises, glory and gratitude belong to Him for the works that we do as a team. Now, brother, what's your name?
My name's Hamza.
Hamza, and why are you sitting like that? What's your job here today?
Okay, so I'm going to be playing devil's advocate. I'm going to have controversial opinions.
Yes.
They're not my own opinions, but I'm just supposed to address all of the sort of standard orthodox opinions.
Okay. So brother Hamza's playing the devil's advocate, meaning he's going to be playing he's going to be having the role of counteracting. For example, if we're talking about a certain topic, he's going to come from another aspect. So it's fair and more exciting, inshallah. And also on his left, we've got brother Yusuf. Brother Yusuf. I was going to say Yunus. Brother Yusuf, may Allah bless him, inshallah. And on my right, we have brother Muhammad Hijab. How you doing, Aki?
Not bad.
You seem a bit tired today.
No, I'm alright.
Oh, mashallah, that's good. And we've got brother Musa on his right. Musa, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, all good,
Okay.
all good.
So what's today's topic? Do you know, Musa?
Yeah, I do
No,
actually.
you don't actually.
Okay,
It's interracial marriages.
I did know that.
Yeah, we have this little banter with the brothers. So today's topic is interracial marriages. Yeah, a lot of us are maybe in an interracial marriage ourselves. A lot of us maybe during the marriage process got denied. You know, like for example, because you're from this caste, you're not from my tribe, you're this color, you're green, blue, yellow, whatever it may be, and you have been rejected. Yeah. So today is your time, and maybe there's a lot of brothers here or sisters have gone through that themselves. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to brother Musa first, yeah? Musa, you yourself are in a kind of interracial marriage, you can say, yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have ups and downs yourself personally? And how did it, and the first question that needs to be asked, I think the first question that needs to be asked is, where does this mentality come from? Like, because we are Muslims.
Yeah.
In Islam, we don't have race. The Prophet ﷺ didn't tell us when you're going to get married, look at what color the individual is or what tribe they're from. So where do you think this problem stems from? That this thinking of, no, you have to be from my caste, or etc. What's your take on it?
Yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yeah, I myself, I'm not married to someone who's from the same country as me. She's from a different country, my wife. And I wouldn't say it's too much of a different race, but it's a different country, different culture, different people and whatnot. We are pretty much the same color. I mean, yeah, but that doesn't go by race nowadays, to be honest with you. So with me, myself personally, I had a lot of struggles, even trying to marry my wife. It was very hard. And to answer your question, bro, I feel like one of the main reasons why people find it difficult to marry different races is because obviously when we live in a place like London, some people watching might be in Canada, the US, etc. What we've done is basically, essentially, we've come from back home. Our parents have come from back home. Yeah. So your parents came from Turkey, whatever. Yeah. My parents came from Pakistan. Yeah. Muhammad Hijab's parents came from Egypt, for example. Yeah. Our parents all came here and they lived here. So back home, you don't see people getting married to different people from different races. Mm-hmm. Back home, obviously, everyone's going to marry someone from their country. Yeah. So when the parents come here and their children, when we go to school, we have people in our class that are from all different countries, from all walks of life, all faiths. And we choose someone that we want to marry from a different country, even if that person be a Muslim, of course. What ends up happening is it's something that's strange to our parents a lot of the time. They're like, okay, you're marrying someone outside. So culturally, I feel like it's not accepted in a lot of countries. I'm from Pakistan myself, and it's, a lot of Pakistanis...
I understand, but if our parents are Muslims, right? Well, most of ours. Sorry. If most of our parents are Muslims, don't you think they should have had the right attitude? And cause the question that needs to be asked here is, where is this coming from? Is there anyone in the audience who knows somebody or have personally gone through this issue of wanting to marry somebody from a different caste or race, but has been rejected? Does anybody know anyone specifically? The whole audience, nobody knows no one. SubhanAllah. Yes, thank you. Finally, we'll just go for this brother, inshallah. Yes, Aki.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. There's a friend of mine who actually went through this. He did go through a lot of trouble, basically because of different cultures, and exactly I do agree with the brother said that it's the culture of the parents, where they come from a cultural background, but also at the same time I don't blame them. But for youngsters, I think the main problem is, I think the root problem is lack of education about Islam and what Islam says. So our parents, mashallah, may Allah bless them, they're very grounded in their cultures because this is how they grew up.
Of course.
And mashallah, now as the time is going along, alhamdulillah, we'll learn more about Islam and we accept what Islam says, and that's why our views changes from that.
So when you said they have a right, are you talking about the parents here?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask a question, because when you mean they have a right, is that based on Islam or culture? Because like you said, you know, this is what they took from their culture. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, are you going to follow your forefathers, even though you know that they were in the wrong? So somebody might come and ask the question and say, yes, Aki, you're saying they have a right, but based on what? Is this Islam, or what are we talking about here?
No, what I'm trying to say is that, yes, I said I agree with the brother that said that, yes, the problem comes where the parents said they come from back home and they want to marry someone from their own culture. This is why I'm saying that we can't blame them on that. What it is okay. The main problem is because they don't know much about, like for us, alhamdulillah, we're very blessed that we've got all the resources to learn about Islam. When I do say parents have a right, it's not right based on Islam, but from where they are coming from. So I think in the society nowadays, the main problem comes where, you know, we're talking about the issue. But if we can be balanced in both, see where they're coming from and where we're coming from, that's where the clear line shows that we're coming from what Islam says, while they're coming from a culture background.
Okay, let's go to Brother Yusuf, and then we're gonna, okay.
Just on this point, on this topic, I think there's a few things that are required actually to build on this. I think we all know that our parents come from cultural backgrounds. Now, as young British Muslims, what's required from us is that we need to show some form of steady education towards our parents, because eventually we have to break down these false ideas. So this requires, you know, soft dawah with the parents, because they are our parents, they are above our heads. Islamically, they are above our heads. And they want what's best for us. But on that note, I would say that we have to, go ahead, Ali. Go ahead.
No. I want to listen to this, right?
Yeah, so we have to basically give dawah soft to our parents, but then know as well as us as young British Muslims that we have to educate our generation, educate us so that we could bring change when we have our own families, when we have our own children, so that this norm is basically broken.
Okay, you mentioned, Aki, obviously our parents are above our heads, yeah? But what about Allah's laws? Because this is something really important, because this is where we have to choose here. Okay, this doesn't mean we disobey our parents, but there's a fine line, yeah? Yes, our parents, we obey them, but if they tell us to do something which is against Allah's commandments and laws, which I personally, from my perspective, I could come and say that's outright racism. You know, is there any sisters in the audience, like, where do you think parents are coming from? Like, if we can go to this sister, inshallah.
I don't think it's the fact that
one second. So just the mic. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, sister.
I don't think it's the fact that we're in Britain, because as a Somali, this existed even when my parents were in Somalia. So even between Somalis, they don't want someone who's a different, I think, tribe. Yeah, so it's much deeper than being a Londoner. It's something that has existed for a long time. So I think, that's just my point.
Okay, we just want to go to this sister, inshallah.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. I don't think it has anything to do with, sometimes doesn't have to do with culture. It's about the parents. They're quite afraid that the children are here in this country and that they, when they're in this interracial marriage, that they would disappear. Okay, that they will not go back to their roots.
Okay, when you mean disappear, sister, in what way? Like, what are they going to lose?
They lose their culture, their language, their heritage, their origin, where they're coming from. They won't know about their grandparents, and and many parents are afraid that this interracial marriage won't last.
Okay,
and that could be a problem for the parents.
Yeah, you're right. And you're right. I agree with certain points. Is that you said they will lose their culture, but I understand where you're coming from. But sister, the question that really needs to be asked here is your culture, and I don't mean you, I'm just saying like a general in person, is our culture going to save us on the day of judgment? If not, now for example, as a parent who's worried, who might think, you know what, well, I would want somebody to speak the same language as my child, etc. You know, I understand that, you know, but when it comes to the point of where they are coming and saying, you know what, no, like you can't. They make it haram, something that's halal, that's haram. So what would you say to that? Because I understand the culture aspect of it, sister. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Brother Farouk, but before I go to him, from your point of view, are you trying to say that, look, they have a right to, like for example, they have a right to say, you know what, daughter, son, I prefer you to marry somebody that's Pakistani, or are you saying no, like that's it? Like, is it a matter of right, like it's a choice, or they should like personally? Let me ask you a question: would you allow your child, if they wanted to marry somebody from outside your caste, would you allow that?
No.
You not, brothers? What's going on? Yeah, you got it. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry. Yeah. So, would you allow that, sister?
No.
Okay. Just so the people understand, what is the main fundamental reason? Why wouldn't you allow that?
I think it's the upbringing of mine when I was younger, that I need stability in my life, and I think that being in interracial marriage sometimes makes people don't have any kind of origin, nothing to go.
Like, in common, they don't have like.
No, yeah, I mean like the children when they're older, they don't know which country they're really from, and they're just. I mean, Islam is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a religion, and we go back to that.
Yeah.
But you have to also have some kind of thing, some kind of roots, some kind of stability, so that you know who
okay,
you are.
I understand. Brother Farouk, let me ask you a question. Does interracial marriages cause instability? Because this is where maybe the sister's coming from. What's your take on this?
Bismillah, praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm in a interracial marriage, you want to call it, yeah? My wife, she's from Kashmir, alhamdulillah, and I'm a white British man. Now, I forsook my culture for the sake of Islam. My culture is a culture of drinking. My culture is a culture of going out and partying. My culture is a culture of not being married. This is what it's become.
Okay.
Yeah. In my culture, I'm from Scotland originally. It's very heavy drinking and very heavy partying. That's the culture I'm from. I gave up my culture.
Yeah.
Now, if we take what the sister said and make it a staple in what we decide in our lives, that culture is very important, that my children understand my culture and where I come from, then this would have a negative impact on the family, for sure, without a doubt. Yeah. Culture was destroyed 1400 years ago in Mecca. What did they say when the Prophet ﷺ started to preach? They said he's come to change what our forefathers brought. He's destroying our society. What he's preaching is splitting father from sons, daughter from father, destroying family lives. This is what they said. Subhanallah. And I say, alhamdulillah, that it did. Because if we limit what we have in our family to what our culture brings, then we're not going to be able to taste the beauty of different other ways of living as a Muslim. Now, I'm not saying that you can't be British and Muslim. You can, yeah? But it's Muslim who is British. You're a Muslim first before you're British. You're a Muslim before you are Somali. You're a Muslim before you are Pakistani, etc., etc., etc.
Barakallahu fik, Aki. I'm just going to come to Brother Hamza.
I disagree with Brother Farouk's point. I don't think Islam came to sort of completely smash culture. Culture isn't a bad thing. What the Prophet came to smash was idolatry. That's the first thing. Second thing, just to address your point on sort of always, giving soft dawah to your parents to sort of convince them it's okay to sort of have interracial marriage. But I think sometimes our parents know best. They know us better than anyone else. And so if they know that we're so used to sort of being raised up in a particular way, we're used to having our roti and our curry, and they know that if we were to marry someone from another culture, that woman from another culture wouldn't be able to provide for you in the same way as your mother would, who's from the same culture as you.
You're right, Aki.
It's difficult. It's difficult for the woman to sort of come into the house and then adapt her way of life to your way of life, especially if you're living with your parents. And so if you look at many examples, especially where I'm from, the divorce rates are really high. Where, for example, Bengali sisters or some African brothers are marrying Bengali sisters, and there's a mismatch there. The African brother goes to his wife's house, and again, it's such a culture clash there. It's impossible to sort of integrate.
Okay, as a devil's advocate, this is where you're coming from, but the question that I would ask is, a curry's not going to save me in the hereafter, for example, you know, like food differences. However,
But in theory, you're right, but in practice, it's very different.
Farouk, we're just gonna if you just calm down for a second, Farouk. I know you're excited. I'm just gonna go to the sister. I'm gonna come to you. Yeah, yeah. You know I love you. Yeah. Let's just go to this sister, inshallah. You know, ladies first. Yes, sister. What's your take on the matter as what you've heard? Yeah.
I can understand the concerns of other parents that the children may not be able to adapt to the culture, but the issue is it is a bit hypocritical because oftentimes parents want to make sure that everything is good on paper, they have a good degree, they're from our tribe, but then they don't look at things like spirituality, the character. Are our children compatible? And then this then could lead to a bad marriage as much as, if not more, than people from different races. So I don't really agree with that point.
Very valid points. Like when looking for a partner, why do we always concentrate about the degree, the work, his colour, his race? Why don't we talk about his taqwa, his salah, his zakah? Let's go to the sister, inshallah.
Sorry, can I just interject? I don't think...
Sorry, devil's advocate.
Yes.
Priority. And we're going to go to the sister, inshallah, straight after.
I don't think it's mutually exclusive. You should be looking at God consciousness, but also at those other, you know, practicalities, like, for example, you know, whether they have employment, you know, whether they come from a good family, whether there's social compatibility in terms of, you know, economic class as well. So you need to consider all these factors. You can't just say, I'm going to get a pious, you know, son.
Who doesn't
pious,
work.
Exactly.
So
a pious person for my daughter.
Yeah.
You have to be very practical.
You're right, you have a point there. Let's go to this sister, inshallah, in the corner, and then we're going to go to the brothers, inshallah. Yes, sister.
I think it's not necessarily bad to have reservations as opposed to being outright against it, but different cultures do practice Islam in different ways. So what we have is some families and some cultures will not approve of hijab, will not approve of the son growing the beard. And, you know, marrying into a family where you're going to be sort of scrutinized for practicing Islam in a certain way could be an issue.
Okay, so you're saying basically different cultures practice Islam in different ways, so that might clash with, let's say, more practicing family. Okay, brother Farouk, you be excited. What do you have to say?
First and foremost, I want to quickly deal with what he said. He said...
Me?
What our devil's advocate said, He said that Islam came only to smash idolatry.
It's true though, isn't it?
No, that's not true, actually.
It's not true.
No, when they were burying their daughters in the ground, was that because of idolatry or because of culture?
Obviously, he's talking about the main reason.
Yeah, no. Actually, it's not just to smash idolatry, it's to give us the best way to live, yeah? So there's both sides of it, yeah? Okay. So you can't just say it came to destroy idolatry, right? So the second thing as well, part of the culture of Quraysh was that the nobleman did not help the lowly, whereas Islam came to change that. And this is what they complained about. There weren't that much complaining in the beginning about him just wanting to worship Allah alone. They were saying he's destroying our status quo, the way that we're living. He's completely coming with new ways and rules to live, and they really disliked that. That's why they said, look, we'll worship your Allah all month, but just for one day you worship our idols. He said, look, you can do whatever you like, I'm not going to follow your way, yeah? The second thing about what the sister said, yes, I agree, that culture does get mingled in with the way that they practice their religion, and this is apparent. It's not the ideal. The ideal is to follow Islam. And I want to say this, my final point. Islam is the best way for us to live, yeah? And we should put that above all and everything else. Now I know it's not practical for some people, but for us youth, like our beautiful brother Yusuf said, that we need to engage with the adults, the one above us, the ones with these ridiculous notions, and slowly ebb away at it with the ilm of Islam. And Islam will, inshallah ta'ala, in our lifetime become the...
I'm going to come to that brother, but you know, he has a priority as a devil's advocate. So just quickly, Yaki.
Sorry, so I just want to address your point about culture in general. I think you're essentializing culture. What the Prophet did was not remove culture, he sort of stripped it away from all the bad aspects. So, for example, burying off, you know, daughters, he stripped that away. But if we look at Qurayshi culture, what was really good about it was, for example, hospitality. And we saw the Prophet, he mentioned that in Jahiliyyah time, when they had, I'm trying to sort of recall, when they had that sort of truce where, you know, he said that if I was alive during that time, I would have honoured that agreement. Can someone remind me of that incident, Brother Asif?
Yeah.
But that was Islamic in its essence.
No, but
let's just not shout. Let's not just shout over each other. Let's just make your point, Aki.
Yes. So my main point here is that it didn't come to abolish culture, but just strip it off its negative aspects.
We can say
and culture is beautiful. Culture is really beautiful. It's so diverse. You know, you
So can we agree, Aki, sorry, that the culture that goes with Islam, we have no problem?
Yes,
exactly.
If it's compatible, then it's fine. If it isn't, then no.
Okay, I'm going to go to this brother just behind you, because he's been putting his hand up, and I'm going to come to you, inshallah. Yes, Aki.
Bismillah. Just two quick points I want to make.
Yeah.
The way we're speaking about culture, if you take just Islam, Islam does not tell. By Islam, the wife does not have to look after your father-in-law. The wife doesn't have to look after the mother-in-law. The wife doesn't have to do the cooking or whatever. But the culture plays a part in it. The second thing I want to say quickly, inshallah, if we just look outside our bubble of us practicing brothers and sisters, if we look at a bigger picture, there's a lot of people out there who will see a bigger scale of people who aren't praying 5 times a day, who aren't listening to scholars daily or weekly, attending halakas or whatever. So that's the big majority of Muslims at the moment. So if you look at that picture in that way, they don't have that sort of Islamic knowledge at the moment, and they've got that culture engraved in their hearts, in their minds, in everything. So the way they go, we have to fight the culture in that way. Now, how do they take it? So we have to see the pros and the cons. And the way Brother Musa mentioned earlier on as well, the culture does have the pros as well, the benefits of that. And one of the main ones, looking after the father-in-law, mother-in-law, looking after the house and everything. So we can't just say Islam, your curry is not going to get you to Jannah. No, it's not. But respecting your mother-in-law will help you get to Jannah. And that doesn't come in any ahadith, that you have to do this for your father-in-law, mother-in-law.
But respect them.
I want to come to the sister before I go. I'm going to go to Muhammad Hijab, because he's been quite silent, and I know when he's silent he's got things to say, but he's waiting for the right time. So just going to go to the sister. Sister, you was putting your hand up because obviously you had with all due respect, you said, look, you wouldn't allow your child to marry somebody out from your caste. But what would you have to say since what you've been hearing?
Yeah, I think, our role models are the prophets.
Absolutely.
And when you read their stories and how they lived, all of them, they believed in Allah, and they wanted the best for their own people, and they followed the culture, the good ones, and they left the bad ones out. If we start from the beginning, start with Ibrahim alayhi salam. When he left, he was forced to leave his country. He didn't want to leave, but he was forced to leave it. And then he went to Arabia with his wife Hajar and Ismail, and then they lived there for a while. And then when he was grown up, he says that in the story that he did take his son Ismail back to Iraq, and he did marry a wife from there. And then when Ismail had his own son, he took him back to Iraq, and he was married. So, and even Rasulullah when he went to Medina, he always was longing to go back to Mecca. He loved Mecca, and he loved where he came from. So I think we should not really abolish all cultures. Many cultures are good. Many things in the culture are good. We should just take the things that are good for us and implement that in Islam. We blend it together, and we can live a good life, I think.
Okay, Muhammad Hijab, since you've heard the sister, the evidence you gave from Ibrahim alayhi salam, is this a valid reason to say, you know what, okay, there is evidence that says that we can, I want my daughter to marry an Egyptian, for example?
Well, let me tell you something. First and foremost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hujurat, which is chapter 49 of the Quran, verse number 13, where it says, يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ وَأُنثَىٰ وَجَعَلْنَاكُم شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِندَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That, O humankind, we have created you from a man and a woman, and we made you into tribes and nations so that you may get to know one another. And the best of you are those who are most God conscious. So from that perspective, in other verses of the Quran, Surah Rum and Surah Fatir and other places, it's very clear that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has differentiated us in terms of cultures and traditions and languages and colours in order that we may venture into
know each other.
So we get to know one another and have a human experience, so to speak. So this is one point. So from that angle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the differences within human beings, natural differences, which we can use to further our own intellectual capacities. That's point one. So I wouldn't say that culture is a bad thing. I would say that the culture which goes against Islam is from our perspective, something which is not acceptable, right? So that's the first. The second thing is, as it relates to sister, what she said before, when she was asked, would you let your son or daughter get married to someone from someone else? So she shouldn't be asked this question, because with due respect, she has no right to stop marriage. She's a mother, and the mother has no right in Islam. Wait, let me just finish. So a mother has no. Because it's very valid. So a mother has no right in Islam to bil ijma', all madhahib, to stop a marriage. So
it's going to come to the question I'm asking. So
So-
what is the rights of the individual whose parents stopping them due to...
So the point is, I mean, you can have preferences. It's not bad to have a cultural preference. I'm not saying that we should all now be completely open-minded and say, okay, we have to marry from, you know, someone else's caste or someone else's race or someone else's religion. Even in the case of men, you can marry Jews and Christians. We're not saying that, but what we are saying is that at the end of the day, there has to be this, the jahiliyyah that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ talked about when he talked about the problem of tribalism and even racism, because this can be expanded and extended to racism. That has to be eliminated from the hearts of human Muslims. That's the first thing. The second thing is people need to know where they stand in terms of abilities and non-abilities. A father could very well say, for example, as let's say an Arab father, he could say, look, I want for my daughter someone who can speak Arabic. And that might necessitate that the person is an Arab. However, even he has his limitations, and that's something which, on a case-by-case basis, must be investigated by the mashayikh, by imams, and etc. So we're not going to give one size-fits-all policy. However, like for example, if a son wants to get married and the mother says, no, you have to marry a, say, Somalian or African, he can say, look, I'm not going to do what you say, and he can practically get married without her permission.
Okay, you know what? This topic should carry on, but we've got limited time. We're going to have to finish. However, I think maybe on a future episode we can discuss the topic of, in a circumstance where the parent is saying maybe no to a black brother or a white brother or whatever brother it may be, or a sister. What is the rights of that child? So I think that'll be a good topic to discuss on next time's show. Today, that's about it from us. I want to thank my guest, Devil's Advocate. Thank you very much, Barakallah Feek, Brother Musa, and every single one of you guys. That's about it from us, brothers and sisters. Hope you guys have benefited. Inshallah, till next time, from me and the Talk to Me show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.